Good afternoon, everybody, or good morning, good evening, wherever you're watching from. My name is Luke Thomas. I am the CEO of World Child Cancer. I'm joined by four fantastic panelists, all of whom have survived childhood cancer and would love to tell you their story and share their experience of what that was like for them. We hope this will help people who haven't been through this experience before to understand the effect it has on children and on families, and the effect of holistic care on, and the support on that treatment and on children's survival. One of our panelists is, I'll let Juliet introduce all of them, but before I do that, just one of our panelists is Prince Niamadi. So Prince, as well as being a survivor himself, is also now a board member of World Child Cancer. So I'm lucky enough to spend quite a lot of time with Prince nowadays. Um, He's been at the heart of our ongoing work to include the voice of survivors and the voice of families in our work to understand, the importance of hearing their experiences so that we can shape the work we do and the work that our hospital partners do, to improve outcomes for children. I'm now delighted to pass over to Juliet Boateng from our Ghana office, who is one of the young stars of World Child Cancer and will be facilitating the conversation.
Thank you so much, Luke T, for that beautiful intro. Wherever you are joining us from the world, we want to give you a good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. You are definitely getting no good nights or good naps. Please stay with us. We believe that this 1 hour will be worth your time. And your presence alone is a testament that indeed World Child Cancer is globally connected. And so we'll move straight ahead to the heroes of the day to give us their intro, walk us through your journey. How has it been? Where are you at? And whatnot. Prince, please start with us. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Juliet. It's a pleasure to be here and to also speak with my other colleagues from the other world. And good to see you, Luke. As you rightly said, we meet most often because of our board meetings and all that. And I want to welcome everybody on board, this afternoon. So my name is Prince Nyamadi. I'm from Ghana in West Africa. So my journey began at age 9 when I was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia. So this is a type of blood cancer. And when I was undergoing treatment, what happened was that for me, I had, a relapse because I ignored treatment for some time due to, the excruciating pain and then the cost involved, in the treatment. So I had to, ignore treatment for some time. And so I relapsed and, spent 7 years, in treatment. However, God being so good, in 2009, I was declared cancer free. From there, I went back to school, did my SHS, did my uni, and today I'm a biomedical scientist working with the NHS blood and transplant. And in addition to that, I'm also a trustee of World Child Cancer. One thing I believe in during my treatment process is that I believe, I survived for a purpose, and that purpose is what drives me to support and advocate for children living with cancer today. And I believe that if I'm able to do that, these children will be able to survive and also thrive in life. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Prince. Let's take the ride to Trinity. Please tell us about yourself. Yes, great.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm happy to see you. So I'm here to tell you my story how I survived cancer. So I was 15 when I was receiving the treatment, and it was kidney cancer. So now I'm 21. Now I'm 21. I'm running at BIU. I'm studying shipping and logistics. So today I'm gonna tell you something I learned during my cancer journey. I'll give the advice to some patients. I'll also tell you what rebuilt me, and what made me to go back to school. during my cancer journey.
Sure. Thank you so much, Trinity. Let's pass it on to Navin. Navin, yes, please proceed. Thank you.
Thank you for the organized team. Namaste, my name is Navin Dani. I am from Nepal and I am 20 years old. When I was 13 years old, I was diagnosed with leukemia. It was a very difficult time in my life, but I learned that even though cancer is dangerous, it can be cured if treated on time. During my cancer treatment, my studies were affected. It was hard to attend school regularly. However, my teachers and my supportive family encouraged me and helped me continue my education for and positive turn to positive quotes me hopeful and strong. Because of this positive mindset, I was able to overcome cancer in Nepal. Support does not only come from friends but also from family members, doctor, other medical professionals, and NGO. Lesson and hope for people. During my most vulnerable time, my mother and my doctors were always there for me. Their support the patient should take care of the environment and take medicines on time. Affect on my finance and my friend. My islands affect my family financially and emotionally. The treatment was very expensive, and my parents had to stop working at time to take care of me. This created stressed and made my family feel worried and helpless. My experience on my childhood cancer, when I diagnosed with cancer, my education was affected as I was not being able to go to school regularly. Throughout my treatment, my mother and doctors were emotionally supportive and always available for me. Their care helped me survive and move forward with hope. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Navin. That was a detailed and beautiful introduction of yourself. Let's wrap up our introductions with a blessing from Blessing.
For you.
Blessing, can you hear us? Are you with us, please? Blessing? Okay, I think we are experiencing some challenges with the internet. Blessing, can you hear us? Can you proceed now?
Oh, I don't know if I've muted or what.
I guess you.
Blessing, please, you can go on. We can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I've had some misunderstanding. Okay. I'm called Ataba Blessing from Manfi, from Cameroon, precisely in Bamenda. I'm a student of the University of Bamenda. I'm currently a level 300 student, which is year 2, and I'm studying crop production technology in the in Caltech, in the University of. I'm here to talk about the childhood cancer, my practical barriers which affected my treatment sessions, my education during and after treatment, personal experiences of childhood cancer, and my hope and messages to others. For the practical barriers, it got to a point where some of my parents, my guardians, couldn't afford the transport fare for me to go to the hospital, and At times, it got to a level where my father, refused that I shouldn't continue the treatment because he calculated the money he has lost just for the treatment. So he refused. But after after begging, enduring, giving him hopes, he finally accepted for me to go back to the hospital. The second is my education. When
Listen, can we come back to you later with the details on
I was
education? I think one
undergoing the
central.
treatment, I
Hi,
was
Blessing. Hi, Blessing. Can we
uh,
come back to you in a few minutes to talk on
hi.
education, please?
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much. Listening to all four of you, one central thing is evident. Every one of you has experienced something that was emotionally draining. So we'll go back to Prince. Prince, what do you think were the key elements, people, things, activities that supported you emotionally throughout the journey? Can you walk us through, please? You're muted, please. You're muted. Yes, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. So, uh, so I was saying, I grew up in a Christian home. Both parents were believers, and so it was a heartbreaking news to my parents and then the family as a whole. However, one thing we believed in as Christians was, God always being by our side, and whatever that happens to us as Christians is for a purpose. So it was a big blow, honestly, but we believed, God was by our side, and so nothing was going to, turn out for our good. So I would say, first of all, was God, and secondly, the family. The family was a major support system for me, most especially my parents. They stood by me, even though it was sometimes very difficult. You could see in their eyes, in their voice, sometimes frustrations, anxiety, uncertainty, and all that. But they stood by myself, my parents, my siblings too were also, a very support system, even though then they didn't understand what was really going on, because in the family, I was the one that was the active type, would make everybody laugh, would bring everybody together. So when that thing happened to me, when I was diagnosed, it was a big blow. However, they supported me so well. Relatives as well, because I come from a big family. I had relatives, cousins, staying with us. They were also a big support to me. Again, I'll talk about the health professionals, the medical lab scientists. Sometimes I go there, do labs, and you could see that even though it was a big blow, it was something new then in Ghana. Not really new, but it wasn't, the education and advocacy wasn't much as today. You could see that they were trying as much as possible to explain what was going on, just for us to understand the situation and all that. The doctors and nurses, I always forget this whenever I'm having presentation or I'm having a webinar like this. I always forget these two, key people, that is the security and then the orderlies in the hospital. These people are major support system in our health institutions. You could go there and then the security man will tell you, oh, don't worry, it will be well. Don't worry, everything will be fine. You go there, the orderlies, when they are cleaning, the beds, the wards, you could see that they feel something, for you. And so they'll give you some form of encouragement and all that. And then as well, I would want to thank, the NGOs like Watch Out Cancer also playing a very big role, because they try as much as possible to ease the pressure on the parents and the kids as well. So these, people, I should say, are very, very, important factors, that played, in my journey as a childhood cancer patient, back then. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, friends, for walking us through. Would be interested in knowing, Nabin. Prince has mentioned how his family was a pillar. And when people are being pillars, there's a brunt and there's a pay to that. What did your family see? What did your family experience? How did it drain your family while you were undergoing this treatment, Nabin?
My family and friends support me and my doctor support me. And mm, during my most vulnerable time, my mother and my doctor were always there for me. Their support gave me strength. I believe patients should be take care of their health, live in a clean environment, and take medicine on time.
Mm, great, 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 great. Were there any changes that occurred in your family that you can tell us about? Nothing.
Yes, that's time my family and my mm, that time my family and other people gave me support from emotionally and financially.
Great, great. Thank you so, so much, Nabin. Now, Trinity, we've made mention of emotional support, and these emotional supports we got it from various places. Besides the medical treatment that you personally underwent, what are some of the supports that you received that you think were very important for every child during cancer treatment? Could you take us through some of these supports? Trinity, yeah.
Oh, okay. Firstly, it was financial, in terms of transport, in terms of food and other stuffs. And there was also emotionally support during hard time. Of course, I had stress. That stress, which made me to feel like I'm not going to survive this disease. So yeah, doctors and my parents had to try their best to make me feel comfortable from the every situation. Like, I mean, okay, let me start again.
Please take your time, no
The
pressure, no
emotionally,
pressure. Yeah, please go on. Oh, okay. Okay. I think I'll take a drink as well for a break. We are all on water break now with Trinity. Please make sure you grab your bottle and get a water break. We are on water break with Trinity. So yes, we'll let Trinity catch her breath as we go back to Blessing. Blessing, please. How did the experience affect your family and yourself personally? What are some of the key things you could share with us? You're muted, please.
Okay. Concerning my family, it got to a point where it it scattered my family. Like there were two people working together, but not really together. Because I was mostly going to the hospital with my grandma, while my dad and my stepmom were the ones supporting me financially. But it got to a point where my dad refused to continue supporting me financially. So he asked my grandmother to continue the support, to take me to the hospital and to pay all the bills. But during that period, as I went the first treatment, I came back for 2 weeks break. My grandma now begged my dad not to allow me to die, that he should please assist her. Let's overcome the treatment session. And also the doctors and the nurses in the hospital also encouraged my dad that he should not give up on me yet. He should continue, and at the end of the turn, I will be very, very fine. And truly, I am fine today.
Really, Blessing is fine, and we are excited that you are fine, ladies and gentlemen, joining us today. We are in the middle of our special edition, International Childhood Cancer Day webinar. We are featuring four amazing survivors from across the world, and you would bear with me that these discussions can be emotional and the anxieties can be high. And so we appreciate the confidence and the courage all four of you are displaying in sharing these stories that are deeply rooted in your emotions, coupled with all the challenges, bringing them all back in words. We understand how difficult this is, and we appreciate you opening up, you bringing your voices out, and the powerful advocacies that you are contributing to just by virtue of speaking up. So let's go back to Prince. Prince, besides financial support, we understand that the journey of cancer is not limited to money. What other supports make the biggest difference in your journey?
Okay, so aside the financial support, I remember the very day that the doctors, told my parents the news. It actually changed everything about my family and even myself, and had a profound impact, on the family as a whole. Aside sorry, you said financial support, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So aside the financial support, the other support system, which have been mentioned by my colleagues, is the emotional support, which is key in fighting, childhood cancer, because finances would take care of the cost of treatment because it's expensive and all that. But again, psyching up the child, psyching up the guardian or the parent to be able to, you know, accept what has happened and understand the process, because it takes some time. It's not just a day or two treatment. Some could even take up to 3 years, and as mine took about 7 years. So it's a long process. It's something which needs time, and so emotional support is key. And I think that has been mentioned earlier, and so I wouldn't spend so much time on that. I would say practically as well. Practically in the sense that we need a system which is more practical for the daily living of the children and the parents. So, for example, because of the disease, the child might miss school, and so school's activities might be interrupted. Again, the parents work, the work they are doing, one must somehow, kind of leave their job. In my case, my mom was a businesswoman, so she had her own job. My dad was in the medical field, and so it was very difficult for him to leave the job. And so my mom had to leave her job because it's her own job. So anytime she could go back to it. And so obviously leaving her job, meaning that the finances coming from her side will be limited. And so the finances would have to rely more on my dad, because he is the one, in active work, and has to put in more hours to be able to bring money for my treatment. So practically, I think, we need that system that would support the parents and the kids in terms of school. If the kids are not in school outside the hospital, there should be some form of educational system in the hospitals and in the ward to be able to educate or teach the children how to read and write, so that after treatment, if they are being taken into the system in the communities, and then encourage, to join the community or their friends back in school, wouldn't be something very difficult for them, to grasp whatever that is being learned in school. For my case, we didn't have that. I know now what Child Cancer is doing their best, to do that. In my case, I didn't get the opportunity. So what I did was I tried as much as possible, go for treatment, just be at home for a day or two for the side effects to just wear off a bit, and then go to school. Even though I still had that side effect in school, I wanted to be in school because I didn't want to, just be behind and my friends just going on, to the other classes. So I was doing both, which was very difficult and all that. But I just thank God it was possible for me to get to where I am today. And so practically, I would also speak about that. And then I would want to also speak about the psychological support as well, psychosocial support. I think we will need some form of psychologist on the ward. I know now is being put into practice in some hospitals and institutions. I know where we would have psychologists on board, aside the doctors, aside the nurses, aside the lab scientists, and the other health professionals. We need a psychologist on board to help, kind of kind of encourage the parents and then the siblings, let them understand the situation in which they are. So basically, yes, these are the factors that I can remember. Maybe in case in the discussion, if some comes to mind, I'll come on board and then mention them as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Prince, for highlighting the importance of hospital special schools, psychosocial support besides the financials that relates with childhood cancer treatment. Would like to go back to Trinity. Would you like to finish up what you were saying? Yeah, muted, please. Yes.
So, yeah, according to the financial support, we never paid for transport. The surgery really went good. I didn't pay anything. We had to receive some healthy food. We had to receive, when coming to check up, I didn't pay anything. From 2020 to 2025, I didn't pay for any treatment. So, yeah, thank you. That was it.
Thank you so much, Trinity, for highlighting all the support that you got that made your journey very smooth. Let's go back to Blessing. Blessing, could you give us a good description of how far your home was from the facility and if that affected your journey in any way?
Actually, it didn't affected my journey because I was undergoing treatment and I was going to school. I also thank God for our teachers and our principals who understood me and understood the what I'm going through, the treatment I was going through at that time. I also thank them because by that time I was in lower seat while I was undergoing treatment. So at times I will leave school to go for treatments, and immediately I'm back from treatments, I'll go to school whether I'm strong or not. I always sacrifice that time to go back to school. So it didn't affect me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It looks like education has been a big part of everybody's journey. So, Nabin, you were telling us about how your treatment affected your education during and after. Could you walk us through that experience?
Sorry, ma'am, my net is very poor and lacking.
Okay.
That time, my mother was a farmer, so we didn't have much money. But when I was sick, my relatives helped me, and I thanked everyone. Hello, hello, hello.
Hi, hi, hi. We're right here with you.
My net is my net very lacking.
We can hear you perfectly fine, though. Okay, we have a frozen Nabin, so we'd move back to Trinity again. Trinity, how did you gain your confidence back when you decided to return back to school? And how did that even happen for you, returning back to school after treatment?
Okay, so firstly, it was very hard for me to go back to school. But then my family asked me what was my dream to be when I grow up. So I told them that it is my goal to be a logistics manager. So yeah, I had that confidence and I had to go back to school despite that I was so skinny, despite that I lost my hair, whatever. I didn't I didn't want to be a housewife, I can say so. So yeah, I had to go back to school and start over again, though it was hard. Now I'm trying my best to be a logistics manager. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And that was just a beautiful dose of inspiration there. Everyone listening to us, no matter what life brings your way, always remember your dreams and why you started it in the first place. And keep pushing like Trinity did. And we all could be at various forms of managers in every field at all that we want. Now, please remember that if you have questions, we have some time reserved to take your questions. So kindly put them in the Q&A sections. We have the chat box and we have the Q&A session. Please make use of the Q&A session for your questions. Back to Prince. Prince, why is it important that childhood cancer care supports the whole child and the family, not just the disease? And if you could change one thing about how childhood cancer care is delivered, what will it be? Please take us, yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Juliet. So, as I mentioned earlier, my diagnosis affected every part of my life and every member of the household. You know, as I said earlier, my family, my parents, my siblings, relatives, everybody, even the community, it affected everyone because, you know, I couldn't join friends play football again. So there was one person missing out of the team. So you could see how big, if a child gets, being diagnosed, how huge it affects everyone. However, you should know that it's very important because education, I'm speaking out of personal experience. My education was interrupted. I had to leave school for a whole year. And, as I said, after treatment, because there are some treatments that takes, is it weekly, if I could remember right? And then obviously in Ghana, our school days are from Mondays to Fridays. So if I go for treatment, let's say on Monday, I wouldn't be able to recover as soon as possible and then go back to school. So I have to spend Tuesday, Wednesday to recover from the side effects, and then would have to go to school on Thursday and Friday. So just 2 days in a week. So you could see that my school educational system was a bit messy, but by God's grace, we were able to recover. And again, emotional well-being was a challenge. As I said, it doesn't only come with you just paying for the treatment, but it comes with so many, emotional challenges, thinking of the stress, thinking of anxieties. Is this going to work? Both child and parent, the pain and all that, the uncertainties as well. Sometimes you go to the lab, they want to take blood, they are unable to find a vein, and it's not their fault, as I should say, because they're also doing their best. They have to prick you several times before they'll be able to get your blood and and all that. And again, the sense of normal childhood somehow was, also disappeared because as a child growing up, you would want to integrate into the community in which you are growing up, socialize, learn new stuff. As a child, go out, play, come back, read, and all that. So that also somehow disappeared. I didn't have that full experience of my childhood, life. And again, finally, I would say my parents also faced emotional trauma, a big financial strain, and then practically disruption of daily life because they would have to spend more time with me, even though I had siblings, but most of their time was spent with me in the hospitals. The normal daily life everybody would want and wish for, was also, disrupted. If I believe, strongly, the one thing I would want to change is if we really focus on treating the disease, just focusing on treating the disease, but ignore the psychological and social and practical realities. We are not really, I believe we are not really delivering care if we just focus on the treatment and leave the psychological part, leave the social part, leave the practical realities. We might be treating the disease, but somehow not delivering that quality care we want to deliver. And so I just want to encourage that we should, it's a holistic thing. The medicines are right, are good, which is perfect because without the medicine, how would a child survive? However, after medicine, there are so many factors that must also, play. Like as I said earlier, the psychological part of the child, the parents, the social life of the child and the parents, and then practical realities because, after treatment, if the parents, for example, lost a job, then there should be some form of support for them to be able to probably get a job or learn a vocation or something to be able to again provide for the kid after treatment, because it doesn't end the day that the child is declared a survivor. The real battle starts after being declared a survivor. That is where the real battle starts, because with the some post-traumatic syndromes that you would have is massive, because you as a child alone, you keep having or reminiscing on those things, and then the pain and even the uncertainty is the cancer coming back or not. And so we need that psychological support even after the treatment, even more than, even I wouldn't say done, but it should be like 50-50 thing. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Prince. I think at this point, I'll spare a few seconds to appreciate the unknown author of the quote that says, listen to the lived experiences of survivors. It is the realest textbooks. So kudos to whoever wrote that quote. You were right, and Prince and our survivors have just confirmed that. The journey has been stressful for all four of you, but I want to ask Blessing, what helped you to hold on to the hope that in the hardest moments of your treatment, you could make it through? And do you care to share any message with children who are currently receiving treatment? Blessing.
Okay, thank you for the question. What carried me through was trusting in God and believing I could survive, I could make it no matter what. And also those around me, my doctors, my nurses, my parents, most especially my grandma, who was always there with me, to encourage me, to also guide me and provide me with all what I need. The message I can give to others is to hold on God and to pray frequently, not to give up.
Hey.
And also, that's all.
That's all. Thank you so much. Blessing has encouraged us to pray, keep praying, and keep praying. Nabin, how about you? How did you pull through? What were some of the things that gave you hope during your treatment? Nabin,
Hi, ma'am.
anything that
Sorry,
gave you hope during your treatment?
sorry. My net is not good. Uh, when I was diagnosed with cancer, when I was grade in 8, my mother was a farmer, so didn't have much money. But when I was sick, my relatives helped me, and I thank everyone. When I was sick, my family and doctors support me because I took medicine on time. I recover in time.
Hmm. Great, great, great. Your doctors, your parents may have been a great source of hope for the journey that you walked through, and it's inspiring to shed light on what role each of them played and how all that came together to give you a beautiful journey. Trinity, how about you? What hope did you hold on to?
Can you come again with the question?
Yes, so what gave you hope during your journey, and what would you like to tell those that are still in treatment now?
Oh, all right. So, firstly, we need to believe in God. We need to trust Him. Whatever we begged Him, everything is possible with Him. So, the hope was there just because I trusted Him and I trusted the process and I trusted whatever the doctors said. I believed in them.
Hmm.
Whatever the doctor said that let's say you should come on 14th February for the checkup. I had to come since I trusted them that the chemotherapy will work on me. So yeah, it
Mm.
was God based. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Prince, would be interested in knowing what held you together. What hope did you hold on to through those hardest moments?
Oh, yes. So my colleague hit the nail right on top. First of all, is God. Without God, we are nothing. And so the first acknowledgement goes to God Almighty. And secondly, I would want to thank my parents. My parents who also was hope for me. Even though as a child I had my own hope, but you need an external hope to be able to support your hope. Yeah. So my parents, my parents were, my parents were supportive. They were willing to spend their money on me. If not them, I don't know what would have happened. They were willing to spend their time. They were willing to spend their prayers. Again, I would want to say the church, because when the church got to know, the church were in prayers for me and all that. I would want to thank one very special personality in my life, Professor Reina. I don't know if she's here or not, but if anyone could extend, my appreciation to her. She's been very supportive. She's basically, everything for me, supported me right from treatment, from school, everything. Even now, she's a mother, and so a big appreciation goes to her. I would want to say the hospital system. As I said earlier, we don't appreciate the orderlies enough, and the security. They play a major factor. To be honest with you, the way they would welcome you just from the entrance to before you get to the ward, the orderly, they clean the places, making needs for the place to be very conducive for treatment to go on and all that. To my people, the lab scientists, because without them, I'm pretty sure the doctors will be in a dilemma, what to do and what not to do. So they also played a very major factor, and today I'm working with them as well. So the nurses, oh God, the nurses were so amazing. They would come to you, are you okay? Even at midnight, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. sometimes, you as a child, you know what it is. Sometimes we just make some noise to just get their
Yeah.
attention, to just get their attention to come to you and support you, or probably, get access to certain things and all that. So I think these people, I think God should continue to bless them, keep them, and give them more knowledge, and all that. Yeah. Thank you.
Mm. Thank you all so much. Indeed, sometimes you need somebody's hope to support your hope.
Yeah.
Your hope can be crippling so bad, and you need
Yeah.
somebody. So,
Mm.
thanks so much, friends. Thanks, Nabin, Blessing, and Trinity. Your responses have warmed our hearts and given us lessons that we have got to proceed with our collective efforts towards improving childhood cancer care and treatment across low and middle income countries. So we have some questions from our wonderful participants, and these questions, any of you can respond to them. If you wish to answer, you can just unmute and go ahead. So our first question is from Rebecca Ross. Hi, Rebecca Ross. Rebecca says that I'll be interested to hear from our wonderful survivors what other help or support they would have found useful in their cancer journey.
All right.
Probably
So,
a support that wasn't available, but you would have found very useful in your cancer journey. Yes, Prince, please take that.
oh, all right. So, first of all, when I was undergoing treatment, I would have wished we had survivors coming to the ward to encourage us. That was something which would have given my parents a bigger hope, that there is a survivor, like a survivor, in the system, or a survivor around, that would have been a major, major factor. But fortunately for me, after I survived, I took that upon myself. And I did that. And I continually do that. I try as much as possible to visit the wards, to speak to the kids, encourage the mothers, to give them the hope that, if they continue the treatment, if they don't abandon treatment and do as the doctor says and add their prayers and everything, obviously their kids would become like me or even better than me, which is reality, because they could see me. Like sometimes I go there and it even gets so emotional because I sometimes I go to the ward and I could remember every bed that I slept on. you know,
Mm.
you could remember everything. And sometimes when you speak to the parent, you could see that big smile on their faces, that hope on their faces, that, oh, if this guy is able to do it with the support of the system and their parents and everything, then my child also has a brighter future and all that. So that was what I would have wished for. And I have others to say, but let me just give the opportunity to
Yeah.
my colleagues as well.
Thank you so much, Prince. Trinity, would you like to add any support you wish was on the ward when you were there?
The support I wish I could receive when I was in the hospital is message from God. There was no people to tell us that we should trust in God, so that like we should be fasting, like our guardians, they should be fasting, they should be praying hard for us to survive this disease. There was no one to tell us. So we had to fight hard for our own selves with our parents. They had to pray for us, they had to fast for us. So yeah, there was no person to tell us we should pray hard for us to survive this disease.
Oh, okay,
Thank you.
Trinity would have loved to have some religious leaders come around once in a while just to buttress the faith that they are having so they could move on harder. We need to wrap up in a few minutes, but would like to say a few words from our survivors responding to one special question from Gazale Card. Hi, Gazale. So, survivorship, they say, is not an end in itself. It is a journey that begins a new chapter. So, as survivors, from your experience, what non-clinical support would make the big difference for children when transitioning from end of treatment to survivorship?
Ma'am, I will say
Anyone
one
to
thing.
take that for us? Yes. Please go on.
I feel happy that I have a new life, and now there is a crew for it everywhere, but there is still a negative perception in society about cancer.
Mm, 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 Even though he's okay and he's out there, there are still so many negative perceptions and discrimination, stigmatization, and he would have loved a lot of support with regards to reintegration back into the community. That is a great one, Navin. And just to wrap up, sorry, we cannot take all the questions.
Can I add something very
Prince,
important?
in a
Very, very,
second, please. In
yeah.
a
I would
second,
I would I would
please.
say I would say Watch Out Cancer is already doing that. It was something which was really on my heart. The scholarship program, because as I
Mm.
said, it's very important after undergoing treatment and becoming a survivor. We need support to be able to reintegrate into the community, into the schools, into the work spaces and all that. And if the scholarship program is being supported by so many people to give opportunity to so many of the kids to go back to school, to learn a vocation for themselves, is very important, because yes, we are grateful for providing for the medicines and all that. But after treatment we have a future, ahead of us. And we can't just stay idle and stay and say we are just surviving. But we need something that we can stand on and say, even though I'm a survivor, I'm doing this for myself and the community as well. So the scholarship program is very important. So if we could champion that as well, for the kids. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And once again, we just want to say thank you to Trinity, Blessing, Nabin, Prince for your time, your thoughtfulness, your your advocacy in general. It's awesome. Just closing up our conversations, Prince, you are a trustee of World Child Cancer, and it's a high feat. I'm not anywhere close to that. And so you are a big person, and we appreciate your presence and time. Your final words. Why do you think your presence on the board is a crucial move by World Child Cancer? And you can also tie in how you are coping with your new life after cancer. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Everybody's there. You don't say everybody can. It's an opportunity given me. It's a privilege, and I want to thank World Child Council for the privilege given me to serve as a trustee. So, first of all, my experience bring real perspective, practical perspective, on board. I strongly believe that my representation on the board brings hope, to the organization. And so it demonstrates, that survivorship is possible. And so whatever money or whatever resources that is going into our programs is in the right path or is in the right course. And again, as a survivor, I understand that the patient journey is deeply a personal way, because if you've not been in it, you might somehow be empathetic, to these kids, but the real experience comes from those that have been through it, to be able to speak, at high levels, to make people understand our needs, and our wants. So I know that it makes what it feels is it's like, so for example, what I want to say is that because my perspective is on board, it brings some form of hope, to the organization. And again, it strengthens accountability. Yes, that was what I want to say. It strengthens accountability because it keeps us focused on what truly matters, because by delivering programs that will improve outcomes and the quality of life of these kids. And finally, my voice at the governance level, ensures that policies and strategies are shaped not only by professional expertise, but by practical experience as well, because I bring the experience on board. So if policies are being formulated, it's coming also from a practical, perspective, not just by books or by research or just that, but real practical experience. And it also bridges the gap between strategy and then reality, because the strategies are good, when it's being implemented well. However, strategies can fail, but realities are realities, so it bridges this gap for us to be able to deliver, the best quality of services that we can give, to the world and to everyone. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Prince. And that was a detailed response, and we all loved it. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the special edition of World Child Cancer's International Childhood Cancer Day webinar. We've had 4 amazing survivors who have shared their thoughts, responded to your questions, poured out their hearts, and told us what we could have done better and what we really are already doing better that they love for it to continue. Thank you so much for making time for this. And on that note, I'll hand over to our Chief Executive, Luke Thomas. Thank you.
Thank you, Juliet, and thank you so much to all of the panelists for sharing your amazing stories. I'm genuinely humbled. I feel like I don't deserve to be on the same feed as you guys. It's incredible what you've gone through. And as you know, for those of you listening, as you've heard, the challenges that children and families face, even to get to treatment, let alone to stay in treatment, can be enormous. You heard similar things about families losing jobs, worrying over money, and about how they're going to fund it and needing that support externally. But if there's one thing that we've learnt over the years, it is that children and families' determination to get the best treatment, it really never stops. They have to fight for it. But sometimes they just need a bit of understanding, bit of care, and a bit of support, wherever that comes from. We've heard different ways that people need to get that support to overcome those barriers that they face. It is that reason alone is why World Child Cancer will always help healthcare teams provide what we call holistic support. And what that means in practice is that, of course, we're going to support the healthcare system. We want to make the healthcare system as strong as it can be through supporting training of doctors, ensuring that they've got the equipment, the medicines, etc., that they need. But we will also support that wraparound care for children and for families, because one thing we have to remember is that healthcare and recovery is not a systems thing. It's about people, it's about children, it's about families. And if we can't support the families, then no system in the world is going to be successful. You have to match those two things together to make it work. And it is only when both those things happen that we see more families able to access treatment and more children able to survive cancer. So there's actually a good example. So just in the news very recently, where I'm sat in the UK today, the government has actually just recently announced that the first ever travel grant to help families access cancer care, thanks to advocacy from national UK charities. We would love to see the same approach in the countries where we work. That support for families to give them the financial capacity to get to treatment, to stay in treatment, is so important, because the evidence is so clear. It is so clear. Supporting children and supporting families means better outcomes, and sustainable change has to include support for the families. So on that note, thank you very much for joining us for the International Children's Cancer Day webinar today. Thank you especially to all of our panelists for joining us and for telling their stories, and to our host, Juliet, of course, and to all of you for joining. And I hope we see you all again soon.